You are now listening to the Jay Porks Experience. Listen free on iTunes or at theandydareshow.com. Now, here's Jay.
Yo, what is the word, people? Welcome to another action-packed edition of the Jay Porks Experience, coming to you live from the sexless dungeon of horrors from the poorhouse, from the place I will die alone. What goes on, people? What is the word this week? With me as always, on the other side of the glass, making sure there's a well-oiled podcast machine every week, is nobody. I could name all the people that are helping me out with this, but it would take longer. It would take less time to name the people who aren't. So what goes on? We got a few things to get to today. A couple of things. I'm a day late, and I'm, not $1 short, but I'm a day late. And my bad about that. The reason is, well, you don't really care. It's a lot less interesting than you would like to hear about. But what I want to do is I want to I want to discuss in open forum something that happened on Sunday night that Twitter went crazy. And that was the Grammy Awards. You know the Grammy Awards, where they give out awards for popular music that came out this year. Let's rewind. Let's get in our TARDIS and let's go back in time to last year when Paul McCartney and Chris Novoselic, Dave Grohl, and Pat Smear were playing. And the show ended with Queens of the Stone Age and Trent Reznor getting cut off. Trent Reznor said, fuck the Grammys. Remember all that? Remember how we were so mad last year? Well, you all went back this year. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that you shouldn't watch the Grammys. That's not the kind of person I am. The Grammys, I heard from some customers. I wasn't watching it, but a few customers told me that they enjoyed the performances. And they said, the show was overall a good show. And I'm, okay, that's great. That's awesome if you like Hozier and stuff. I'm not really... There was no artist performing that I said, wow, I need to see that. Because if that was the case, I would have already looked it up on the interwebs. So I was reading there was all these live tweets from the Grammys, and I'm thinking that I'm not getting sucked in this year. And then, when Beck wins Album of the Year for Kanye West to go Kanye West again, it's not needed. This guy is a Looney Tune. So, if you're unfamiliar, Album of the Year went to Beck's Morning Phase. Over, and everybody flipped out. No one I know besides Kibby from Some Kind of Awesome was unhappy. Everyone else hated this. But if you look at the albums, we got Morning Phase by Beck. You've got Ed Sheeran with X. You've got Sam Smith in The Lonely Hour. Pharrell Williams, Girl. And Beyonce. I mean, if those are the 5 we're choosing from, I have absolutely no problem with Beck winning the Album of the Year. I have no problem at all. If those are the choices, he didn't beat Jay Mascis. He didn't, wasn't like Arctic Monkeys was up. I mean, it wasn't like any of these albums are crazy. Now, some people like Beyonce. And that's fine. You should like Beyonce if that's what you're into. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that she put more work into her album than Beck did, a guy who plays 14 fucking instruments. And Brandon Browner, the cornerback for the New England Patriots, was firing off tweets last night. I don't know if it was last night. But one of them One was like, "Peep who we tried, Beck and Taylor Swift. Real tough guy. If only I could have been Beck for one night, Kanye would have been rapping through the wire." Brandon Browner, cornerback of the New England Patriots. Love it. There's more. Brandon Browner says Kanye West is a sucker. Everyone don't listen to Beyonce. Second time he tried to steal somebody's shine. First time it was a 15-year-old girl. That's the that's the time where he came up after Taylor Swift. Brandon Browner says also, Kanye try and play that I'm weird because of my genius. None of the greats pull that stupid shit. Meaning Marley, Mike Jack, Tupac, Jay-Z, etc. Well, Michael Jackson was a little weird. Brandon Browner. That's great. So, and again, stressing the fact that this is album of the year at the Grammys and not a sporting event. See, when the album that you want to win doesn't win, what happens? Does anything happen? I mean, let's just, if you're a diehard Sam Smith fan and you, and Sam Smith doesn't win album of the year, do you have to go throw away the Sam Smith record? Is it no, do you no longer like it? Here's the thing about music. Music is an opinion thing, much like poetry. Whereas you like something, that's what you like. And I like something, and those things could be completely different, and neither of us are wrong unless it's EDM. A lot of people coming out saying Kanye was right. First of all, Kanye West doesn't even date Beyonce. If I was Kim Kardashian, I'd be like, yo, Kanye, sit the fuck down. What's this got to do with you? I get it. What? Kanye was one of the 30 producers on Beyonce's record? Here's the thing about Beyonce. She's young. She'll win. Again. Like, does she need to be on top of the world more? Well, now, I mean, do you have Beyonce's album on your phone? Do you listen to it when you go to your morning workout? So then, if she didn't win Album of the Year, what is the big deal? This isn't a sporting event. This isn't the Yankees. You know, if the Yankees don't make the playoffs, I'm mad about that. Because, spent 162 games, spending money, playing games, in order to get to this. Musicians, it's not like that. Musicians, they go in a studio and they play music and they put it out. And if you like it, you buy it or you steal it. And if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. They don't care. It's not like they don't make it to the championship. If you win it, what does winning a Grammy do for an artist? Do they get paid any money? Who votes on the Grammys? Did you ever ask yourself this? Did you ever ask yourself who's doing the voting? Because I have no idea who's doing the voting. I have no idea who's doing the voting, nor do I think that those people know more about music than me. First of all, you want to know the amount of people I think know more about music than me? Zero. And that's the same thing you should think. Because music is an opinion. Music is like poetry. There are no wrong answers besides EDM. EDM is the only wrong answer. And Pearl Jam. No, I'm all right. I'm not doing it this year. Not doing it this year. No, but seriously. And you were all watching the Grammys. Better Call Saul is on, guys. Kidding? We'll get to Better Call Saul in a couple minutes. I mean, who cares? I was wondering why you people watching the Grammys, but I don't want to do that you people stuff. That's very adversarial. That's a very me versus you kind of way to look at it. And if you like the performances, go for it, go for it. But if you're sitting watching the Grammys, like hoping that with your picks, and meanwhile, my thought was, okay, you know what I'll do? I'll listen to all the albums. because I haven't really listened to Morning Phase that much. So I don't want to say that, I definitely know that Morning Phase, but I'm not listening to any of I'm not listening to Sam fucking Smith. Why would I listen to that guy? In 5 years, do we know who Sam Smith is? Think about that. Are we going to know who he is? Fuck out of here. Give me a break. Also, I wanted to touch on this. This happened last week. Brian Williams, NBC News anchor Brian Williams embellished the story about how he was in some helicopter that got shot down in Iraq or Afghanistan. Okay. And now he took some days off, and now NBC has suspended him. Let me just say this. Did he say, I saved children? What was the lie? The lie was that he was in a helicopter that got shot at, and that wasn't factual? So somebody on the news didn't tell you the truth? I've never seen that before. I only see that every day of life. Ask yourself this question. Has Brian Williams ever been a member of the fear-mongering campaign against plants? Has he ever done that? I don't really care. Now, I don't want to say I don't really care because the news is supposed to be sacred and all that, but if you think the news is sacred, if you think the news on television is something that is first and foremost here to tell you the truth, you need to go see a doctor. Because, when Snowmageddon was happening, you heard me say it, and Snowmageddon was an inside job. I said it. The TV news is a television show above everything else. And above everything else, they want ratings. So, Brian Williams embellishing his... Now, listen, I have no idea why Brian Williams embellished the story. Who knows? Listen, I'm sure that I've podcasted 67 times. I'm sure there are some stories that I didn't give you 100% facts. I'm sure there were some stories that I embellished a bit. I didn't get shot at. And I won't say I got shot at. And the biggest news coming out of Brian Williams' whole thing, because I don't care about the news. See, that's the thing. If I'm talking to you about it, I care about it. But then again, it's the news. So you're saying, all right, Jay, when are you going to get to what you're getting to? I know you're getting to something, and you know what I'm getting to. I'm getting to Brian Williams' daughter on girls getting her ass eaten out like it's nobody's business. What was that? Conan. I'm going to hat tip Conan O'Brien. That's where I got the joke from. He said Brian Williams is going to have to ask his daughter because she knows a thing or two about being chewed out. And the crowd went, oh, and he's like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this part of this is the episode of Girls where you can see what I'm talking about. So I looked it up, and it's not like that. Now, the show Girls, I've never seen this show. So I don't want to pass judgment. I'm not a girl, so I don't watch it. I'm not a girl, and I'm not getting laid. So those are two reasons why I'm not watching that show. I need shows that can relate to me. But, so there's this scene where Brian Williams' daughter, she's an actress, she's on Girls. She's in this cruddy apartment, leaned over the kitchen sink, and some guy is digging his tongue up her ass. And it's not like subtle. It looks like it's real. This looks like they wouldn't show that on Cinemax back in the day. Remember Cinemax Saturday After Dark when they used to show softcore porn? But it was like porn with dialogue, so like you fall asleep 15 minutes in because Who the fuck cares about what they're saying when they're naked? She's leaned over the sink getting her ass eaten out. I got a couple issues with that. One, your dad is Brian Williams. Couldn't choose another line of work? B, how did I not see this before? How are we not talking about this until now? I don't care that it's fake. Not fake. I don't care that it's a television show because I saw her ass and I saw that guy's face in it. So as fake as it could have possibly been, it was still that much real. It was still very, very real. And I don't want to be Mr. Prude here, but what is with the butt? What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm a guy, and I'm gonna speak for me. I don't have interest in the butt at all, in being in there, putting my face there, that, my opinion, the butt is exit only. There should not be anything that's not involved, anything that doesn't have to do with a colonoscopy or something like that. Butt stuff, off limits. And if you got a girl who's doing butt stuff, she's got dad issues. Trust me. Trust me. Good girl. Real girls don't. Not real girls, obviously. Classy girls don't let you do butt stuff. So, sorry, Allison Williams. And I switched on, like it's a television set. The Washington Post this morning published an article, Why Jon Stewart and Brian Williams Should Just Switch Jobs. That is perfect. Because Jon Stewart is leaving the Daily Show. That's right, folks. This year is the year of the year of late night talk show hosts leaving. We had Letterman stepping down. When Craig Ferguson didn't get that job, Craig Ferguson stepped down. And we have Stephen Colbert leaving the Colbert Report for Letterman, which is going to be great, by the way. And now we have Jon Stewart at the end of the year is going to leave The Daily Show after more than 16 years. Then, less than an hour after Jon Stewart made that announcement, Brian Williams received a letter from NBC saying that he had been suspended after he'd weathered days of intense scrutiny. This article says, since Jon Stewart now as much as a newsman as he is a comedian, and Brian Williams now as much a comedian as he is a newsman, should just switch chairs. Let that marinate for a moment. So this is based on, there's a New York Times article that says, raise your hand if you want Jon Stewart to take over Brian Williams' slot. And listen, I'm sorry. I mean, Brian Williams, I don't think it's that, he didn't hurt anybody. Was anybody hurt by what he did? What, he was bad journalism? Yeah, I can go to BuzzFeed and get tons of bad journalism. There are tons of websites, most of them of which I follow, that are bad journalism. You know what I could do? I could read something I wrote. Bad journalism. It happens. It happens all the time. He didn't claim to be any sort of hero. I mean, unless he's... I didn't actually hear the quotes. I don't think he claimed to be any sort of hero. I mean, I want Harper Lee's work schedule. You know? She puts out To Kill a Mockingbird 50 fucking years ago. She's got another book. She's ready to rock and roll. Do you know To Kill a Mockingbird is Lois Lane's favorite book? Fun fact. Yeah, Harper Lee said she wrote this book 50 years ago, but she just held it. Who does that? Who does that? I wish I could write a book. So the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird due out this year. Not for nothing, Beck winning the Grammy is good. Shit, I like that. At least I like Beck. When in doubt, give in to the guy that looks like Thurston Moore. Looks exactly like Thurston Moore, just a little shorter. Yeah, fuck it. I'm down. We'll get to emails. We'll get to headlines. We'll get to all that on the other side.
Hey everybody, this is Andy from the Andy Dare Show, just thanking you for checking out the Jay Porks Experience. If you want to learn more about Jay, follow him on Twitter at JayPorks. Follow him on Instagram at JayPorks. JayPorks.com for the podcast, articles, pictures, you name it. There's a running theme here. It's Jay Porks. So for 2015, if you want to support the Dare Podcast Network, all you got to do is go to theandydareshow.com and click on the Amazon banner, and you will be tipping your cap to the Jay Porks Experience and all the fine broadcasting here at Dare Network. Thanks for listening. And back to the Jay Porks Experience.
And we're back. Real quick, let's touch on Better Call Saul for a second. I'm not crazy spoilers here, but if you didn't see it and you really want to see it, I would not listen to the next 5 minutes or so. Less than that. So Better Call Saul premiered Sunday night and Monday night. Sunday night, it went on in between Walking Dead and Talking Dead, so it had the biggest cable audience in the history of cable television for a premiere. And the next night, the ratings dropped off. The show is not Breaking Bad. Okay. Walter White is not showing up. Jesse Pinkman isn't showing up. It's different. It's a different animal. It's a prequel. Takes place 6 years before Breaking Bad. It takes place in 2002. And it's chronicling the tales of Jimmy McGill, a.k.a. Saul Goodman, Walter White's lawyer, on Breaking Bad. But before this, he's a regular lawyer, not a criminal, as of now. It's an anti-hero kind of show. As somebody who is all about selling myself and selling people on the idea of Jay Porks, I can watch a show starring Bob Odenkirk where he just talks and talks and talks and talks. It's more of a conversational show. There are surprising elements that happen in episode 2 that might make you come back. But my overall feeling was, after I saw it, was, wow, I like this so much that people are going to hate this. And I didn't read any bad reviews. I'm just assuming that, the people who are in for the Breaking Bad ride are going to get off by the end of the season. Because they probably going to find it a little boring. But Bob Odenkirk is the star of a show, finally. Well deserved. And it's weird because he plays such a funny character, and Bob Odenkirk was a writer on Saturday Night Live. He wrote the Matt Foley motivational speaker sketch where Chris Farley says he lives in a van down by the river. He wrote that for Second City and for Chris Farley. Chris Farley took it over SNL. Bob Odenkirk wrote for, I want to say, the Ben Stiller Show for a little while. Then he started Mr. Show with David Cross. Bunch of young comedians starred on that show. It was almost genius. And to see Bob Odenkirk on TV and to hear him saying this funny shit, and then to think that he didn't write it, it's weird. He actually said in an interview the first couple of days of shooting, like when he's shooting Better Call Saul, he would be shooting a scene and he'd look at the cameras and he'd be wondering if they're in the right place. How much is that guy getting paid? And then he realized, oh wait, this isn't my show. I'm not the writer. I'm not the boss. I'm just the actor. I like to play. I'm gonna play around for a little while. So Better Call Saul, I would check it out. If you like, I like stuff like that. I like conversational shows. One of my favorite movies is JFK. Nothing happens. It's 3 hours of talking. That's the kind of stuff Another one of my favorite movies, The Social Network. Nothing happens. Nothing. I like movies where nothing happens. Let's just talk. Like I used to like House when it was on, because even though like it's a Patient of the Week show, that it's the conversation, the dialogue is very snappy and witty and awesome, and I'm with that. If you know me, you know I'm with the wit. All right, you want to get to the headlines powered by Annie Quiet? Let's get to the headlines powered by Annie Quiet. Why not? What we have the replacements. The replacements are going on tour. Not the tour where they play 3 festivals and you never hear from them again. Backed by unpopular demand, according to the festival poster. And I'll read this here. The last 2 years have seen the replacements book a handful of festival slots and one-off gigs, leaving fans asking themselves, will they ever get a chance? Will they ever get to see this band play a full-scale tour while you're still young enough to enjoy? Well, folks, it seems the day of reckoning is upon us, as Paul Westerberg and co. will set out on 13 tour dates across the U.S., the band's first in 24 years. Beginning on the West Coast this April, the band works their way down the coast for Portland, San Francisco, L.A., and Denver, before shooting off for 2 nights in Chicago's Riviera Theater. The month-long tour moves through Milwaukee, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Columbus before ending with 2 nights in D.C. and Philly. New Yorkers may have to get creative if they don't want to bank on the notion that the additional tour dates may come. Hat tip to Empty Lighthouse for the tour dates. Yeah, so the closest thing to me is going to be Philly, Festival Pier, and no, I'm not doing that. They played Shea Stadium a couple of years ago. And this article's on Annie Quiet. It's written by some guy, some Jay Porks guy. Whoever that clown is. What else do we got? So, it's weird. Like, you just read me write, New Yorkers are going to have to get creative. And then you go to ChristinaRocks.com and it's like, the Replacements announced North American tour to play Detroit. Yeah, she gets them. I don't get them. Damn. AC/DC, who played the Grammys, they've got a tour. They're touring in August and September in America. They're playing football stadiums. They're playing Gillette in Foxborough, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. They'll play Ontario a couple of nights. Ford Field, Wrigley Field, AT&T Park, Dodger Stadium. If you want to see AC/DC, just look out, because Phil Rudd might try to have you killed. I'm kidding. I can't believe Loudwire had the AC/DC tour dates, and every website's going with the AC/DC tour dates now. Courtney Love was on David Letterman last night, and she talked about the show Empire, and she talked about Montage of Heck and Dave Grohl. Says her and Dave Grohl go back, and they had some gnarly times. Now they text. In a couple of minutes, we're going to read there's going to be a think piece on Pitchfork about how Dave Grohl says that they don't text. He doesn't know what she's talking about or something like that. But and David Letterman asked her about her drug use, and she said, I did every drug. And there was no drug that I haven't done. And David Letterman says, Back in California, I used to smoke a little weed, like the most square person in the world would say it. So, David Letterman used to smoke a little weed back in California, back in the day. But yeah, also, if we're keeping with headlines, Sasquatch was announced this week. Again, right after I got off the air, Sasquatch Festival announced its lineup. Sasquatch is at the Gorge Amphitheater in on Memorial Day weekend in Washington State, and it's 2 nights, and they give you Kendrick Lamar, Robert Plant, Modest Mouse, Lana Del Rey, Ryan Adams, of Monsters of Men, St. Vincent in there, Schoolboy Q's in there, The War on Drugs, Run the Jewels, Jenny Lewis. So basically, yeah. So there's a bunch of people, a whole lot more, and more. At least there's no Drake. Here's my thing about this. I was actually tweeting the website I mentioned before. Some Kind of Awesome had a piece asking, what do you think of the Sasquatch lineup? Well, what I think is, some people might say that this isn't that strong. My thing is, you have Robert Plant and you have the Gorge. You have to think about the Gorge for a second. You have to take into account the venue, because most of these festivals are in parking lots with stages. The Gorge Amphitheater got the Columbia River behind the stage, the sun setting to your left. The most beautiful place in the world. I would pay to go there if there wasn't music playing. To be able to be there and Robert Plant's gonna play, and then, after Robert Plant's gonna play, Kendrick Lamar is gonna play. I'm down with that. Or I guess one will headline one night, one will headline the other night. But you get Modest Mouse too? So my thing is, the Gorge, they don't need a long list of middle of the road acts, because when you come with Kendrick Lamar and Robert Plant, and you also bring along Modest Mouse, Ryan Adams, St. Vincent, you're set up for victory at that point. You are set up for victory. And I bet my buddy, the Natural Stoner, makes it there. He should. He always does. The Gorge is where he's at. Alright. What else is going on here? Again, I wish I could have hit you with this yesterday, but there is just nothing. I can't even explain it to you. Alright, let's got a few emails. The email segment is sponsored by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it. Alright. Got a few, just read a couple here. This one is from Shauna, and it says, last week, so you're a communist. Arranged marriages? Question mark. I'm glad someone brought that up. I was a little glib last week when I did say, rich people shouldn't get with rich people, and maybe that if arranged marriages were happening and people were paired together based on business connections rather than feelings, maybe that would work out better for the world. Obviously, I was not joking. I was joking. Relax. I don't actually think. So, to clear that up, that was a joke. Last week, when I said that people should be matched up with people based on their qualities and not based on the way they feel, that was me being a little, being a slightly facetious, slightly glib about my own situation, kind of just hoping someone would set me up. So that was that. So no, I am not a communist. I don't believe in socialism or anything like that. Sorry. Bernie in Michigan. Ooh, look at that. I got a state. Is everything with you about weed? I'm so glad that this got asked. The answer is yes. I mean, I know. Short answer, yes. Here's the thing. The thing is, I am somebody who is under the impression that plants shouldn't be illegal. Now, my whole life, these plants have been illegal. So it hasn't really been, I've never really thought about it any other way. But after this past April, after experiencing what is going on in Colorado, after walking to a store and legally buying marijuana and walking out, I can't live this illegal life anymore. I no longer want to be a criminal. So every day, and let me say that again, every day I will be sharing weed related stuff on Facebook. Whether that's, whether that's the federal government study that just found that pot has no impact on car accidents, repeat, zero impact on car accidents. Every day, I am going to share with you some news, some science, and that's going to be on my Facebook. So, I was wondering, I thought one of my friends would hop in and say, Jay, enough already. Because I can't, knowing that I've walked into a store in Colorado and bought pot, and then coming back to New York where I can't buy pot, but people can go get drunk in bars and that's okay, it just doesn't make sense to me. I read a comment the other day on, I think it was Normal or one of their links, and some guy wrote, if making pot legal is going to turn America into lazy stoners, I'd rather drunken wife beaters. That statement makes no sense whatsoever. You'd rather drunken wife beaters than lazy stoners? A, no, because lazy stoners aren't hurting anybody. And B, if smoking pot makes you a lazy stoner, you were lazy already. This idea that weed makes you a certain way, makes you act certain, the way you are makes you act certain ways. The things you do don't make you the person who you are, unless it's like heroin or something. If you do heroin, yes. Yes, if you inject heroin into yourself, you are a liability. If I want to smoke a fucking plant, I don't get it. And it's hypocrisy. And I made a choice. I made a decision. I could have either been one of those guys who played it cool and just silently watched as pot laws changed, or I could have been a guy who tried to do something about it and tried to let everybody know whose side I'm on, what team I play for. Because I think this is ridiculous already. I just don't. It's a plant. And I know it's the same point that I drive home all the time. This person wanted to know, is everything about weed? Most of it is, yes. Until I am no longer breaking the law, yes. Yes, it will be. Speaking of weed, did you hear what they're doing in Colorado? You'll never believe this. They've got too much money. There's a law that says that each government institution can only collect excess of $30 million in tax money. Well, the legal marijuana industry has brought in north of $50 million in tax revenue. So Colorado state taxpayers will be getting tax rebates because pot is legal. Because pot is legal, residents of Colorado are going to get paid for it. Again, why is this plant illegal? Doesn't make any sense. I can smoke regular leaves. And see, like, what? Who made the rules? Who came around and said this plant is legal, this plant is not? Like, we're legislating Earth. I didn't know you could legislate Earth. That's like when I think it's Joe Rogan who says it. It's like when people always say the Indians got ripped off when they sold Manhattan for like $13 or something. The Indians were blown away at the fact that you can buy land. They're like, what? You know, you can own land? You want to buy the sky too? Like, want to buy that tree? I didn't know you can own things like land and sky. Oh boy. Vermont's getting into the weed game. They're trying to. Vermont wants to legalize pot across the board. So you know what their state lawmakers are doing? A couple of congressmen, they're going to Colorado. They're gonna go investigate. They're gonna go see how this works. That's the smartest thing I've ever read. The smartest sentence I've ever read was Vermont policymakers to go to Colorado to see how this works. It's genius. Instead of bashing it from afar like certain fat fucks in New Jersey named Chris Christie, why don't you go there and check it out? Can't believe. Oh boy. It's a plant. I had another email. I'll save it for next week. Here's the thing about the emails. You can get in on it. You can go to jporkspodcast@gmail.com. That's the email address you're going to hit up. jporkspodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up there. Ask me any question. I will go on the air with it. If I'm flooded with emails, I'll save it. I'll take the topical ones first. If you got something random, I will definitely answer you on the air if that's something you care about. Okay. All right. And the other day in San Bernardino, California, was the High Times Cannabis Cup. Also, that same day in New York City was hide your gram of pot from the police before they throw you in jail because we live in a Nazi police state. All right, you know what? Before I get up on out of here, let's get to the list of websites you need to go to help keep me in business. First of all, there's concertconfessions.com. That's for all your live music, news and reviews, for the fans, by the fans. We have Powerman 5000, Head PE, and Knee High Fox in Des Moines. Des Moines. That was on the 5th. That's courtesy of Concert Chick. And we've also got Papa Roach and Seether, Milwaukee, Chicago. And if you want to get into the Concert Confessions family, all you got to do is get at me, at JPorks on Twitter, and I will hook that shit up. I will definitely hook that shit up. Also needed to go to ChristinaRocks.com, Hang the DJ, 89xradio.com every Sunday morning. The Time Warp, Throwback Alternative, throwing it back like it's Thursday only it's on Sunday. And she's playing all the goodness. You can also go to theandydeershow.com. That's for all your podcast needs coming out of the Deer Network. Whether that is the Tyler Cale Show, the flagship show, the Andy Deer Show, or the sultry tones of the J Porks Experience. La la. You can get all that at theandydeershow.com. Also, the headlines every week are powered by Annie Quiet. Annie Quiet is your source for quality. Until next week, folks. Whiskey, Weed, and Warren Zevon. Late.
This has been the J Porks Experience. Thank you so much for listening.